Welcome to the deep dive. We dig into the latest info and pull out what really matters, just for you.
Get right to the core of it.
Exactly. And today, we're tackling a bike that's got people talking a lot. The 2025 KTM 1390 Super Duke GT.
A really interesting one. A machine of, well, seeming contradictions.
Right. And our mission, really, is figuring out how KTM plans to pull off this balancing act they're promising. They're marketing it as a flagship sport tour, making no concessions. That's a bold claim.
It is. Performance you'd expect from, well, a beast, basically.
They literally call it the long-distance beast.
Right, but also promising genuine long-haul comfort. It's like trying to mix oil and water sometimes in engineering.
So how do they do it? How do they merge that, that hooligan alter ego tech with serious touring chops?
Well, that's what we need to unpack. But look, before we even get into horsepower numbers and all that, there's one detail that jumped out from all the sources. It's something that directly impacts you, the owner, maybe more than anything else. The maintenance, specifically the valve checks.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I saw that. It's pretty surprising, isn't it?
Surprising is an understatement. It's kind of revolutionary for this type of bike. They've doubled the interval. Doubled it.
From the 1290 GT.
Yeah. The old bike was 30,000 kilometers, which, wasn't terrible. But this new 1390 GT, it's 60,000 kilometers between valve checks.
60,000? What is that in miles? Like 37,000 miles?
Yeah, just over 37,000 miles, yeah. 37,282 to be precise.
Wow. Okay.
Think about that. For a high-performance V-twin, that is huge. It fundamentally changes the cost of ownership calculation. And frankly, it makes it way more appealing for people who actually want to, ride long distances without constantly thinking about the next big service bill.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a massive practical advantage right there. Less time in the shop, more time on the road. Okay, so that's a huge point for the long distance part. But what about the beast part? The engine's got to deliver, right?
Oh, it delivers. KTM definitely didn't forget the Super Duke DNA. It's got the same updated LC8 V-twin heart that they debuted in the 1390 Super Duke REVO.
The really aggressive one.
Exactly. So we're talking 13,350 cc.
Okay.
And the power numbers KTM is claiming 187 horsepower.
187.
Yep, at 10,000 RPM. And torque is 107 foot-pounds at 8,000 RPM.
That's absolutely bonkers for a bike with pannier mounts and, cruise control.
It is. It's deep into superbike territory.
But is it usable power? Or just like bragging rights? How does it compare to the old 1290?
Good question. It's a significant jump, about 15 horsepower more and 3 foot-pounds more torque than the outgoing 1290 GT. But the sources suggest KTM wasn't just chasing peak numbers, they focused on refining it.
How so?
Well, technically, they redesigned the airbox for better breathing. They repositioned the fuel injectors. And crucially, for both performance and touring comfort, they fitted a wider radiator.
Wider radiator. Okay, helps cooling, obviously, but how does that help comfort?
Less heat soak. When you're stuck in traffic or riding slowly through a town on a hot day, a more efficient radiator means less engine heat cooks your legs.
Ah, right. That's actually a really important detail for a tour. Makes sense.
So yeah, they aimed for usable power and better thermal management.
Okay, so massive power bump, huge service interval increase. Impressive. But an engine like that needs a chassis that can cope, especially over long distances, maybe with luggage. What's holding it all together?
They addressed that directly. Stability was clearly a big focus. The frame is still a steel tube trellis design, which is kind of KTM's signature.
Right.
But they've seriously beefed it up. The claim is that it has 3 times the torsional stiffness of the 1290 model's frame.
3 times. What does that actually feel like for the rider?
It means less twisting, less flexing when you're cornering hard, especially loaded up. It translates to more precise handling, more confidence. The bike just feels more planted, less likely to get squirrely when you push it.
Okay, so a more solid foundation. That makes sense with 187 horsepower.
And that frame works hand in hand with the suspension, naturally. It's running the WP Apex semi-active system, electronically adjustable.
The fancy stuff.
The fancy stuff, yeah. And KTM specifically mentioned they improved the comfort mode, turned it to be, well, more comfortable. Better at circling up bumps on less than perfect roads, which, let's face it, is most touring roads.
Definitely need that. And stopping power. Gotta haul down all that speed.
Top shelf Brembo style Llamas up front. Dual 320 mil discs.
Style Mamas, okay. Lightweight, high performance.
Exactly. They resist fade better, especially important if you're riding hard to up or fully loaded. And a 2-piston Brembo at the back on a 240 mil disc. Pretty standard high-end setup.
And tires. What rubber connects this beast to the road?
Michelin Power 6s. The sources note these are dual compound.
Ah, so harder in the middle for mileage, softer on the edges for grip.
Precisely. It's another example of trying to balance that long-distance durability with sporty cornering performance. Seems like a good choice for the bike's mission.
Okay, it really sounds like they've thought through the performance and the comfort side mechanically. Engine, service interval, chassis, suspension, brakes, tires. It all sounds pretty dialed in for a sport tourer, but there's always a but, isn't there?
There usually is, and in this case, it's something pretty fundamental for a bike called the Long Distance Beast.
Uh-oh, what is it?
Fuel capacity.
Oh, did they increase it? The
Yeah.
1290 had a decent tank, right?
It did. The 1290 had a 6.1 gallon tank. Pretty generous.
And the new 1390.
It's smaller, 5.2 gallons.
Wait, smaller? By almost a full gallon?
Yep, nearly a gallon less fuel capacity.
Huh. That seems counterintuitive for a long-distance machine, especially with more power, which usually means more fuel consumption.
Exactly. It's a significant reduction in potential range.
Why would they do that? Any idea? Make it feel lighter? Packaging issues with the new engine or tech?
The sources don't give a specific reason. Could be packaging, could be aiming for a slimmer feel, but the result is undeniable. You're going to be stopping for gas more often. If you were getting, say, 200 miles on the 1290.
Yeah, you might be looking at closer to 150, 160 maybe.
Potentially, yeah. Depends on how you ride, of course.
Right.
But it definitely changes the touring equation. It puts a bit of a question mark over that long distance part of the name, doesn't
It
it?
really does. That's a strange trade-off. Great service intervals, but more frequent fuel stops. Kind of ironic.
You save time and money on servicing, but spend more time at the pump.
Okay, well maybe the tech makes up for it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the electronics. What's new on the digital front?
A lot. It gets KTM's brand new TFT display, an 8.8-inch touchscreen.
Wow, 8.8 inches. That's big.
Yeah, they're calling it the H88. Supposedly has a simpler menu structure, easier to navigate,
And connectivity, maps.
full smartphone connectivity via something called CCU 3.0 that enables offline map navigation using your phone's power for the mapping.
Okay, so it uses the phone for the heavy lifting. Smart.
Yeah, keeps the bike's dash responsive. And the electronics package is deep. You can sort of split it into two camps.
Okay.
There's the tech focused on the Grand Touring side. That's where their radar comes in.
Adaptive cruise control.
Yep, adaptive cruise control, brake assist, distance assist, all radar aided. Huge for reducing fatigue on long highway stretches.
Yeah, ACC is a game changer on boring roads.
It even has a group riding feature apparently to help maintain distance with other connected riders.
Interesting. And the other camp of electronics, the beast side.
Exactly, managing all that power. You get standard modes: street, sport, rain, and a custom mode. Plus advanced safety nets like cornering ABS, Supermoto ABS.
Supermoto ABS lets you slide the back wheel, right?
Yeah, and they even have a new Supermoto Plus mode, which sounds like it allows even more aggressive riding, more sliding. So they're definitely catering to the hooligan within.
So the electronics cover both bases, making distance easier and managing the power when you want to play.
Pretty much. But there's a catch with some of those advanced modes.
Oh, what's the catch?
KTM's monetization model, the demo mode.
Right, I read about this. Explain how that works for listeners.
Okay, so when you buy the bike, all the optional electronic features, things like the full track mode and a couple of extra custom modes, they're all active.
For how long?
For the first 1,500 kilometers, that's about 932 miles. It's basically a free trial period. You get to experience everything the bike can do electronically.
After that.
After 1,500 kilometers, those optional features switch off. If you want to keep using them, you have to pay to unlock them permanently.
Like downloadable content for your motorcycle.
Essentially, yeah. It's a bit controversial for some, but it lets you try before you buy, which is, I guess, fair enough. You know exactly what you're paying for.
It's definitely a different approach.
Yeah.
Closer to how cars are doing things now.
For sure.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. What defines this 1390 Super Duke GT?
I think it boils down to a few key things.
Yeah.
1, huge power. 187 horsepower is undeniable. 2, that incredible leap in mechanical longevity with the 60,000 kilometer valve checks. That's massive for running cost and convenience.
Right.
And 3, a really deep, complex integration of technology, especially leaning on that radar for advanced touring aids, but also providing the modes to unleash the beast.
Does sound like they've pushed the envelope for what a sport tourer can be. Power, tech, reliability. Seems like a strong package.
On paper, it looks formidable, almost unbeatable in its class, you could argue.
Which makes the next piece of information even more, well, frustrating for a big chunk of our audience.
Yes. The elephant in the room. Or rather, the beast not in the room.
Oh, one. What's the big catch?
KTM has officially confirmed it. For the 2025 model year, the 1390 Super Duke GT is not coming to North America.
Not coming here at all. Wow.
Nope. Not for 2025 anyway.
Yeah.
Big disappointment for US and Canadian riders who might have been eyeing this one up.
Why? Did they say why? Regulations? Market strategy?
No official reason given in the sources we saw. It could be emissions hurdles, could be homologation costs, could just be them prioritizing markets where they expect to sell more of these specific high-end models.
Whatever the reason, it leaves a big gap. Potential buyers here will have to look elsewhere.
Absolutely. It basically cedes that segment, for now, to bikes like the BMW S1000 XR, maybe the Ducati Multistrada V4 Pikes Peak or RS.
So, a potentially class-leading bike that a huge market just can't buy. That's something.
It is. So for riders outside North America, it's a fascinating proposition. Incredible performance and maintenance ease, balanced against that reduced fuel range. You have to decide if that trade-off works for you.
It really forces you to think about what long distance means to you personally.
Exactly. Which brings us to maybe a final thought for people to chew on.
Okay, leave us with something provocative.
All right. We've talked a lot about that huge jump in the maintenance interval, 60,000 kilometers. That saves serious money and time. But we also talked about the reduced fuel capacity, only 5.2 gallons now. That means more frequent stops.
Right, the give and take.
So the question is, does that shift less major servicing, but more fuel stops, fundamentally change how you'd actually use this bike compared to the old 1290 GT? If KTM is calling it the long-distance beast, does saving money on valves but spending more time at gas stations alter the real-world value for someone actually planning to cross continents on it? Where does the balance truly lie for the rider?
That's a really good question. Does convenience at the pump outweigh convenience at the mechanic? Or vice versa? Lots to think about there. Okay, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.